Hi, I'm Toby, the Galactic Intuitive, and welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me here as we explore the cosmic wisdom of our galactic guides and families. I serve as a conduit through these readings and activations for their teachings, their frequencies, and to amplify their direct relationship with each of you. In today's message, we are continuing a message from the Andromedans that was, I'm not even sure when that was posted. I will link it at the end of this video if you have not watched it. But over the last couple of weeks in particular, I was getting more of a sense of the crucible that was mentioned in that particular reading. And I received some messages from the Andromedans on that, and I apologize for the creaky chair, but it's part of the ambiance here. So I have some notes here. I would show you my notes, but it's in the midst of my personal journal. So that's all that needs to be said. The theme of the crucible, there's a sense of as we are, and this is filmed within a few hours of the lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo that happened in the early morning hours of March 14th. If you're in the United States or on the East Coast of the United States anyway. And the crucible energetic space is the best way to put it, is if you are seeing this within this time frame of being between those two eclipses, between the lunar eclipse in Virgo, again, that had just occurred today on the 14th, and then the solar eclipse in Aries that will happen in 2 weeks. So on or around the 28th or 29th of March. This is that energetic space of the crucible. However, I say the energetic space versus a time period because you may come across this reading at another point in the human construct of time. However, whenever you come upon it, this energetic space, if this resonates for you, that means that this energetic space of the crucible is within your current experience. So I hope that makes sense. The crucible then represents, the note that I have is the alchemy of transmutation of the wisdom keys integrated throughout lifetimes. And this is part of the healing sequences that also came through around the 2/22, February 22nd, and the meditation that was done around the ancestral healing that has been completed at this point, and the importance of integrating the healing that's already taken place, the releasing of the label of still holding on to those stories of ancestral wounding, and of then through that releasing, allowing those keys, as mentioned in this this message through my meditation, the wisdom keys, this ancestral wisdom, the keys of the ancestral wisdom, allowing that to then rise within us. There is a burning away, and this is this energy of the fire and the alchemy that happens within the crucible. There's a burning away of the detritus that was already transmuted, yet it still lies within your energetic body. There is, of course, a direct connection between our energetic body and our physical bodies, and so that detritus that is described in this message refers to the remnants of the I'm almost getting a sense of the scars that have been sloughed off. This kind of quite the visual there, so apologies for that, but you get I hope you're getting the meaning behind this, and the understanding that comes with this is because there is a very tangible physical nature to it as well, because not only does this detritus, this sloughing off, this removal of these layers, again, we talked about the rising up of the wisdom of these keys, right? So we have to remove the layers that have blocked that from rising to the surface of our awareness and the surface, or to rise through the layers of consciousness. This transmutation process then is allowing for these internal processes, energetic and within the physicality, within the cells, that are allowing the removal of that detritus. It is clearing the waters, so to speak, allowing for that information, these wisdom keys, to rise up within us. So it is within this energetic space of this 2-week time period. If you're catching this within this 2-week time period according to human construct of time, if not, if you're catching this at another point in the human construct of time, the energetic space, I'm still getting that it is a approximately human 2-week time period for you. But again, this could apply at any point in the human calendar. And this brings up another point, speaking of the human calendar, that this is also leading us into and actually crossing over the actual new year, which begins at the equinox on March 20th. This leads us into Aries season. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. This is the astrological new year. This is the new year for the northern hemisphere as far as springtime, and with the equinox. So that point apparently needed to be made. So burning away of the detritus, what was already transmuted yet still lies within your energetic and physical body. So you may notice, I've noticed periods of feeling actual heat within my body. And so you may notice things like that you're experiencing physical type symptoms. I am not a doctor, so if you are experiencing concerning symptoms, then please go and see a trusted medical professional. However, speaking to my own personal experience, I am having physical signs of this transmutative process going on internally, going on within my energetic body, going on within my physical body. Again, the heat, increased need for water, feeling a little bit dehydrated. And it's interesting because I'm actually consuming more healthy fluids during this time, because I was guided to do a juice cleanse during this time frame as well. So I am the amount of hydration I'm taking on is much higher than it normally is, and yet I am seeing the physical signs of this heat within me and the transmutation that is happening, and that requires more hydration. So something else for you to be aware of there. It is also you may notice that the balance of rest and activity, there's a big polarity there. There will be moments where you feel bursts of energy and are very motivated and high energy and are really very active, whether it's physical activity through exercise or creative activity through expression in some form. There's a culinary aspect. I talked about the juice cleanse, but also with, we'll get to that in a second with the next part of this. So the times between rest and activity will be, I'm hearing the word acute. So you'll have a distinct separation between the two. There's a little bit of a lack of fluidity in your energy levels, or this is maybe what you're experiencing. And so allowing yourself to accept what is in that moment and allowing yourself to move with it, moving with that, the needs of your body and how your body wants to express its ability to be energetic or its need to rest. And that's what provides you with the fluidity. It's and this is something that I have struggled with a bit, is some frustration around, I have all these things I want to do, but there are points in time when your body just needs to rest. And it may be frustrating, in particular, when you have bursts of energy and bursts of creative activity, bursts of motivation and inspiration, and then very acutely move into a state of rest. So that seems to be part of this transmutation process that we're going through in this time of the crucible. So yes, it might feel more harsh and more of a stop and start type sensation to that motion, so to speak, of the energy. And that speaks to the energetic needs of our bodies as we're moving through the transmutation process, because there is a time for the resting part. Feels like a building up of the energy. It's almost like a smoldering of the heat and the fire and the transmutation that's occurring within us. The time of expression and activity and movement is the release of that, the energy that's built up. So honoring those two states as being equally important is going to be very important and very helpful for you as you move through this process. The next phase that came through, not phase, well, maybe it is a phase. I wasn't meaning to say that. I was going to say the next part of this message, but maybe it's the next phase, is I was hearing the word reduction. And reduction, not as, well, there were two parts of it. So a reduction of distractions being burned away as well. A noticeable decrease in your interest in your normal distractions, whatever you have done in the past to avoid maybe feeling things or distracting yourself from anything uncomfortable, whether it is feeling a state of stagnation or on the verge of an expression of emotion that needs to be released. You know, that period where it just feels uncomfortable. So sometimes we will go to distractions in order to avoid feeling that discomfort. And you're going to notice as you move through this transmutation process that your attraction to those distractions is diminished. So there's the reduction. The other part of reduction is reduction. Here's the culinary aspect. When we talk about reduction in culinary terms, it means like a burning down. It is to cook down, to intensify the flavor, or to thicken. I had to look up the actual definitions because that's what I was feeling, but I wanted to make sure that I was getting the fullness of this message for you. So there's an intensifying and a solidifying within our, or not within, but of our energetic bodies, a sealing of any cracks or leaks that have, and this speaks to the distractions, right? Distractions are holy, well, not holy, but that's bothering me. There's my Virgo moon coming out. Distractions, and see, there's a distraction. That's perfect. Distractions are a way, can be a way for us to, again, avoid something that is uncomfortable. And now the crows are showing up. Very interesting. I'm looking, I can see out my window from my office, which sits up on the second floor, and there are a bunch of crows that just landed in my neighbor's driveway and in the trees outside. So crows may be a sign for you during this time. As a side note, the birds are speaking to us heavily at this time too, and in different ways than they have. Certainly, many birds begin to show up this time of year in the northern hemisphere. But if you were to take a moment to connect into them and ask them what medicine they have for you, ask them what messages they have for you, you may notice that your ability to hear the messages that they've always been offering is definitely more clear. Okay, getting back to the other message. So reduction, to cook down, to intensify the flavor, to thicken. So when we talked about distractions, and distractions can actually create these leaks or cracks in our energetic field, right? Because they are taking us outside of ourselves. They are removing us from the process that is helping us to become more sovereign, to become more in tune with and aligned with what our bodies need, what our heart needs, what our soul needs, what is the highest version of ourselves is where it's focused, where it's vibration, it's frequency. So distractions by definition take us away from that. So it makes sense that the reduction speaks to the reducing of attraction to these distractions, and it also speaks to then a sealing up of the leaks within the energetic body that have been maybe not created by the distraction, but held open by the distraction. We may also find that because we are in this phase of cooking down, so this I don't want to say narrowing of our focus, but it is becoming more focused and more aligned. It is a bit of a it's not a narrowing as in a diminishment, but it's a narrowing as in an intensity in a particular direction, or in alignment and coherence with a particular frequency and vibration. So you may notice as well that this is going to amplify your awareness of the separation that is occurring between the 3D and the 5D. And this is so interesting with these crows. They've walked down the street, literally walked down the street. There are a pair of them now. There were 3 before, but now I only see 2. And they've moved to opposite sides of the street. And now they kind of move together a little bit, but then they move back to the opposite sides of the street. This is exactly very symbolic of what I was about to say. There is a separation occurring between 3D reality and upper 4D and moving into 5D reality. And based upon your frequency and based upon your path and journey, that's going to, and the choices that you make. Let's be very clear that this is very much based in your free will to choose your perspective, to choose the reality that you experience. And so based upon those choices, based upon your frequency, that will determine which, I don't want to say side, but which perspective you align with. We'll put it that way, because one is not better nor worse than the other. We are all parts of this whole, and we each have our own path and our own journey during this ascension process, and for a reason. There's a purpose in it. Our souls signed up to have this experience in this lifetime for a reason. So there's purpose in everything. So as you move through this this time of the crucible, this transmutation process, you will likely notice a higher awareness or an amplification in your awareness of the separation between the 3D and the 5D. It will make it more difficult for you to interact with 3D experiences, and very difficult to interact who those are solidly in the 3D. You may notice that literally, like I hope I'm not messing up. I'm not even looking at the screen here. I'm looking out the window and talking to you guys. So I hope it's not bouncing around too much. But so you may notice that when you have a conversation, I'll do it this way so you can see kind of the representation. Instead of, a flowing conversation where there's understanding on both sides and compromise within that, right? It's the give and take that's reciprocal. There's this meshing, right, of the two people. Let's just take 2 people within a conversation. When you are in, and this may be interaction in whatever way, but conversation is the easiest way to describe this. As you're moving through this transmutation process, this process of the crucible, because it's there's this alchemization that happens with this rising of these wisdom keys and ancestral keys. You are stepping out of the crucible reformed. I mean, we can't understate the importance of this, that there is a renewal in this. There is a transformation that happens. So as you're moving through this process, especially on the other side of it, when you interact with the 3D, so we have the 3D here, we have the 5D here, and we can put it either way. Again, one is not better than the other. They are simply 2 different paths. So let's do it here. The 3D and the 5D. instead of a beautiful reciprocity in that sort of interaction or that communication, you'll find that they just don't line up. And again, it doesn't make one bad, it doesn't make one good, it doesn't make one better or worse than the other. They are simply on two different frequencies. And so you're going to notice this increasing. Excuse me. There goes the throat chakra. Hang on a second. Must have coffee. So you're going to notice, and this is indicative of it as well. It's almost as if you can no longer, you're truly no longer speaking on the same level. I hate to say level because that implies a hierarchy, and that does not exist. However, it's as if you are not able to speak words that the other might understand, or they seem to be, no matter what you say or how you say it, they seem to be continually misunderstanding you. And so there is an opportunity here for, and we had a message not too long ago about compassion. I think it was right at a month ago. There is an opportunity for, maybe it hasn't been that long. Okay, never mind. There's an opportunity to offer great compassion for self, compassion for the other, to honor and respect the path of each, and to hold grace and forgiveness for each as well, for yourself, for the other, as we move through this, because again, there is purpose in all of this. Okay, so those are my notes. Okay, so we're going to pull some cards on this crucible and what we need to know and how we may move through this time, what will be supportive of us as we move through this time. Again, it's important to honor the physical body. This is as much a physical process as it is an energetic process. Getting really clean with your diet, hydrating is going to be super important. I just got something about green tea or teas. If you are someone who dandelion tea, I'm hearing for someone, if someone enjoys that or has used that before, or it may be something you want to look into. Green juices to help flush. There is also green juices to help flush out and release, and it also helps with that cooling aspect, that helps to balance the body through this transmutation process, this process of so much heat. It's so interesting that we have that as we are moving into Aries season. Sublimation. Okay, we'll get a couple. And I'm going to reference the book in some of these. This is the, what is this? The Wild Unknown Alchemy Oracle deck. Sulfur. Sublimation feels like it's speaking to that reduction. Ooh. Oh, look at that. Synchronicity with the Ouroboros. Oh, and then we have the Ouroboros itself coming out in the Great Serpent. Wow. Wow. Okay. We have card number, I don't know what that is. 50, 60, 60, no. Yeah, 67, 29, 63, and 45. Wow, that's a lot of nines. 67 reduces down to 13, which is the Tower in the tarot. 29 reduces down to 11, or 2, which is the Empress. Interesting. Card number 11. What is card number 11? Is that Temperance? It might be. Unus Mundus, synchronicity. Again, that was card number 63. That's 9. Ouroboros, the Great Serpent. That was card number 45. That's also 9. We are in a 9 year. Okay, so let's look at sublimation. I am feeling, okay, first we have a diamond here. It looks like a diamond, and a diamond in the center of the synchronicity as well. Well, we have great synchronicity here because we have the Ouroboros represented in 2 cards. We have the synchronicity of the 9, it being a 9 year. The sulfur feels like that. I feel like we're getting both halves. This is kind of just further confirmation of what the channeled messages were. The sublimation being the process of, I'm probably going to say this wrong. What we have represented here would be the heat being released, and then the elevation, that rising up through the layers that I talked about of the ancient wisdom keys, and how that is part of the ascension process. There's a message I'm going to put out about ancient gods and goddesses and their ascension, and some information about their mythology. So look for that to come out in the next few days. I've recorded it, and I've held off sharing it. I think I need to add a little bit more to it, but this is reminding me of that message. So look for that in the next few days. But this rising, I mean, having the diamond here, it's so interesting because we have this stone. And so this stone, it feels like with the sulfur card. Here, let me lift these up so you can see them a little bit better. There's sulfur. Sublimation. See the diamond there in the center or below the dove? It's not a dove. What kind of bird is that? If that's a white raven, it looks like a white raven, you guys. Well, now wouldn't that be interesting? Here's the Ouroboros. And then we have synchronicity. So that process of the heat transmuting and transforming the stone, which is that ancient, that's the ancient wisdom key, right? It's it's been layered over and over and over and over through the ancestral wounding and it feels almost like there was some healing, and then it's like the wound was reopened, and some healing and the wound was reopened, and so it just gets layered and layered and layered and layered and layered. And through this process that we are going through within the crucible, this is the removing of the layers that has occurred, and now we're in the process of, now we need to burn off that detritus. We need to really reveal what is within this stone, this ancient wisdom key, and this is what allows us to reveal the diamond that is the key, which is here within the Ouroboros of synchronicity. I'm getting a little sidetracked, but the synchronicities are going to abound. It's like me watching the crows. We don't have ravens in South Carolina, but watching the closest I think it's the Orvid family, would be crows in South Carolina to the ravens. And so having the ravens show up here, and the synchronicities. So the synchronicity, I'm having a hard time talking because it is indicative of potentially how it will feel for you. The synchronicities will be almost overwhelming, almost to the point of I'm having a hard time speaking these out loud because they're so profound, and it almost has there's a sense of humor around it in just the the magnificence and the awe of how is it possible that these type of synchronicities continue to happen for me? How is it possible that these synchronicities have elevated from what I was even experiencing before? It's amazing. And so that laughter comes from the joy that comes with it. It's not a laughing as in a diminishment again, but it's the joy and the bliss of the recognition that through the divine is speaking to you through these synchronicities. Your higher self is saying, yes, you're on the right path. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Oh, and I have chills. And the Ouroboros now, that speaks to, and we have it represented here in this, similarly in this stone. And that speaks to that process of, that I mentioned, of the healing occurring, and then the wound is revealed a little bit more. The healing occurs, and then the wound is revealed a little bit more. And I say a little bit more because it's, the more is from the higher level of consciousness that you have achieved through the healing process you went before. It is that spiral. It is this process of constant transformation, constant shedding of the skin, shedding of the layers, revealing more, revealing more, revealing more through this process. And the enormity and the profundity of that cannot be understated. This is a massive, and I'm again, the synchronicity, I mean, of the bird rising up from the material into the cosmic. Oh, and look, we have that represented here too. It's like the opposite. It's this cosmic energy, this energy coming in, and it's been hidden within the material. It's been hidden internally within this stone. And now the process that we're going through, this crucible right now, is revealing the highest version of you. And I have all over body chills now. The crucible is revealing the highest version of you. And you are stepping into this, and that the importance of doing that now. Again, the now speaks to whenever you are seeing this. The now is not dependent upon a date on the calendar. I reference that for those who are seeing it at the similar date to when I'm recording it. But the power of this is purely dependent upon your now. It's not based on my now. It's not based on the now of this recording. It is based upon your now. Where you are in your journey, where you are on your path of revealing your highest self, your truest self, of removing these layers through this transmutation process within the crucible where it's being cooked down, and your highest self is rising up and is able to then move between the layers of the cosmic and the material, the layers of the ether and the material, moving through dimensions with ease. And it is this process of the Ouroboros, the shedding of its skin, growing a little bit more, shedding the skin, growing a little bit more, shedding the skin, growing a little bit more, until your highest version is revealed. I don't think it's necessary to go to the books. We got everything we needed from the Andromedans. Thank you so much for that. Okay, I'm going to pull a couple more cards before we close this. Oh my gosh. I think I've been talking for a long time. I hope this is helpful for you guys. I hope that you are feeling the frequencies of the Andromedans coming through here to assist us with this process, to help to guide us in this step of our ascension, and as we move individually and collectively towards New Earth. And the thing is, as we each embark and move forward in our own individual processes, I'm almost seeing it like, certainly it ripples out, right? The energy, the frequencies that we then are embodying, the frequencies of being the highest version of self, they are rippling out into the collective around us, into the world around us, into the ethers, out into the cosmos. We are helping to facilitate ascension on so many levels beyond our human understanding. what was I going to say? So we are also creating an energetic footprint for those who are, certainly there are different stages of this process, right? And so for you listening here, you are at this stage. There are other people who are not at this stage yet. But when you embark and move through this stage, you're creating an energetic footprint, almost a pathway to open, that allows for a bit more ease for those who then step into this pathway. You open that energetic space a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and that allows more beings to enter into the space of the crucible as well, and to enter more freely into it. Oh my gosh, inner earth. Yeah, look, you'll survive this. New solutions and beginnings. I didn't even look at it as I was talking, as I was channeling. And this is that opening to new earth. Oh my gosh, I've got so many chills, you guys. And oh my gosh, you guys. Oh, I love this. I love this. Okay, let me show you this first. This is inner earth. And inner earth in this regard is speaking to the bounty that is within us, within these ancestral wisdom keys that we've talked about here, and tapping into the resource within us allows us then to move into this space of new earth. This is part of that process. This is part of the creation. There are new solutions and new beginnings occurring because of this transmutation process that happens within the crucible we are currently within. And you are not alone. Isolation, physical connection, community. And what was I just speaking of about opening the space for others to enter into? We are not alone in doing this. And again, with the message of not only are we helping to ripple this frequency out of moving into one's highest version, or the highest version of oneself, but we don't, the depth and the distance I'm hearing that frequency travels is beyond our comprehension at this time. And so it is not to underestimate by any means, or to understate by any means, how profound that process is. And by doing that, there must also then be the awareness. Allow yourself to accept the awareness that you are not the only one in this process. There are other beings here on this planet. There are other beings on other planets who are impacted by the work that we are doing here. There are your galactic guides, your galactic families that are around you. And that's, as I said in the beginning, the maybe the main part, but a huge part of my purpose here and in the work I do generally is to assist you in either opening to the guidance of the galactics that are already present around you, or to amplify and expand your relationship with them, to assist in attuning you to their frequency, and to calibrate to that to such a degree that it allows you to have that clear communication with them, to develop that sense of trust in yourself, to know when you're having that clear communication with them, and to not doubt that any longer. And so the "you're not alone" speaks to, it comes from the Andromedans to tell us as well, from our sister galaxy, that we are connected, that we are always connected, that even when there's not, this card speaks to physical connection and community. However, it's important for us to recognize that physical connection goes beyond just the tangible. Energy is energy. Energy is, everything is energy. And so that physical connection can also be felt in our physical bodies when we don't have a cause for it available through our human eyes. Okay, I hope that makes sense. The physical connection is shown to you through the synchronicities as well, because those are physical, tangible signs and signposts and proof, if you'd like, of their presence in your life and their presence alongside you as you move through your journey, as you move towards aligning with your highest self, embodying your not even aligning, well, it is aligning with your highest self, but more importantly, embodying your highest self. Because it is one thing, and I speak from so much experience here, it is one thing to align with your highest self, but now we are being called to embody our highest self. And this process in the crucible, the transmutation that is occurring, this is allowing us to release the whatever we need to release. And here's another key thing. My gosh, there's so much here. Another key thing is to understand that sometimes we don't need to understand what we're releasing, what we are releasing. You don't have to know with your human mind what you're releasing. You don't have to analyze it. You don't have to have awareness of, oh, I'm releasing this stuck emotion. Oh, I'm releasing this old wound. Oh, I'm releasing this old story. No, if you know when your body is releasing at this point, just allow it. Just allow it, because a lot of these things, we're talking about ancestral layers here. You don't need to go back into those. And this again speaks back to that meditation. I would highly, highly recommend that you look for that meditation. I will link that as well at the end of this video. This meditation will help you through this process. It will help you through this process, especially as we get to the, especially as you get to the end of this process, okay? The conclusion of this process for you. If you are in this particular calendar moment with me, well, it's being recorded, then I would say that would be around or just prior to the eclipse in Aries, before. You want to do it before the Aries solar eclipse, which is at the end or near the end of March, the 28th or the 29th. You don't want to do it on it, because we're starting something brand new on that eclipse, okay? So it might be something good to do around the equinox. Around the equinox would be perfect, as a matter of fact. Where was I going with that? Oh, where was I going with that, you guys? Oh my gosh, I lost it. The process of embodying our highest self, and that speaks to not just holding the frequencies, but I heard someone say, oh, now I can't remember the phrase, but it was basically speaking to how behavior is the highest form of expression of a frequency, right? So it's one thing to hold these frequencies within you, but if your actions are not aligning with those frequencies, you're not embodying it. Through this process of the transmutation, of the removal of the layers, you are being stripped down to a point that, so now you are able to embody your highest self, the highest version of yourself as you move through the ascension process. Again, this is a constant process, so it's not a one and done, but this is a critical part of it. We are here to enter into the astrological new year as a transformed version of yourself, moving into your highest version of self, aligning with your highest version of self, embodying through word, action, expression, thought, behavior, frequency, embodying the highest version of self. Okay, I'm going to end there. I kind of feel like I was yelling at you guys. I wasn't meaning to yell. The channel messages were so strong. Oh, that's so funny. The Andromedans were coming through so strongly. So I might have to turn the volume down on this. I've just realized when the channel, with the last channeled message, that how loud I was. So this is such an important time. Such an important time. Give yourself what you need. Allow yourself to release without knowing what you don't need to. Don't try to label it. Don't try to attach a story to it, because that then anchors you in the past. It anchors you to that story. Allow it to release and then allow yourself to move into the next part of this process. Okay? Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Please, 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 if this resonates with you, please share this video, comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and please make sure you subscribe to the channel. It would really help it grow. These messages are very important. They need to get out to as many people on this journey as possible. And so I appreciate your assistance in subscribing to help the algorithm and help things move along so that others are able to see it. Most of all, I appreciate your willingness to be on this journey with me and all of us that are here. And it is my honor to bring these messages through to you. I hope that they resonate for you. I hope that they are helpful. And I will be back very soon. Much love to you all.